Welcome, everybody, to the Three Gun Show. This is a special match recon episode of the Kalash Bash featuring Jay Christiansen and James Gill. Guys, how you doing?
What's up, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Good. James, excited to have you back on the show here. We had some technical difficulties. Apparently, you've got a date, like a bowling date with some 6-year-old women. They're going to be missing you here. You're on your way.
60-year-old.
60.
Didn't I say 60? Or did I say 16?
Sounded kind of like 6.
Yeah.
60.
Either way, I'm going to destroy them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so James got bowling league to go to. We talked him out of doing the podcast while we were driving here. So thanks for that, James. And Jay, we've got Jay Christiansen back for another match recon. So welcome, Jay.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Good. Guys, we shot the 2019 Kalash Bash, the Texas Bash, and that's what we're here to talk about. The three of us shot it, so we're going to depart from our normal match recon format, and I'm going to run through the quick stats myself, and you guys feel free to jump in if you have any questions or anything to add to it. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the Kalash Bash, I forgot to get the dates. Man, I'm already failing here again. This was was that the 13th and 14th? Is that right? Yeah, it was right before tax day. So it was the 13th and 14th of April 2019 at the Cawthorn Cartridge Club. Time plus match with points, and it was run on USSL's United Rifle League rule set. Sign up payment and scoring was on Practice Score, which is fantastic. It was a half day schedule, $150 for shooters to shoot the match, and I put $75 for Gen Pop here. But this there was a festival, which we'll get into that in just a moment here. But it didn't really make sense. Like, wow, $75 to come and spectate a match, that doesn't make sense. But then it did when we got there. 117 shooters shot the match, and let's talk about the divisions and winners, shall we? So, first up, AK Heavy Irons, which, Jay, why don't you describe AK Heavy Iron rules?
So AK Heavy Irons rules. Irons is exactly what it says. So it was iron sights only. That meant iron sights only, true irons only. So a single red dot didn't count for that division. Heavy meant either 79 or 308 caliber. So basically 30 caliber iron sights only, and 30 round magazine capacity limit.
Okay, I didn't realize that the magazine capacity. That's good to know.
Yes, sir.
All right, so first place in that division, Aaron Hayes, and he was running to Gill. We got the IWI flag behind me here. And second place was Justin Morris. I'm giggling at this because he spent most of the first day lying down because he had food poisoning.
Yes, puking his brains out before we ever started shooting on Saturday.
Yeah. I said hello to him as he was passing by, and I thought, like, wow, Justin's a lot less friendly than he was at Texas Three Gun. And come to find out, like, dude was feeling pretty ill.
Yeah, when I walked the truck and heard somebody kind of coughing from in front of the truck, I looked over and there he was. I said, "Hey, buddy, you doing okay?" He looks up and he goes, "No."
Let me ask you a question, James. We'll direct this one at you. So both of y'all are younger than me. We're all in our 30s. At what age do people stop assuming you're hungover when you're actually sick?
Never.
Never. That was the first thing that came to mind until I saw who it was. I mean, you've been around the crowd long enough. You know who ties one on pretty heavy and who doesn't. But yeah, that was my first thought was, oh, somebody drank a little too much last night.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. So he was. I mean, it's funny because it wasn't me that was sick, but he was there with his son as well. I forgot was it Britton? Is that right?
Britton.
Yeah. Okay. Nice kid. Actually, really good shooter too. So once I saw that he was there with his son, I'm like, he's probably not hungover. It's probably food poisoning. So Third place, Todd Lewis, all the way from Florida to shoot the match.
Yeah, Mr. Team Canic Century Arms. Is it Canic or Chonic or something like that?
I'm going with Canic because this is Texas. So
because this is America and it's spelled that way.
AK light irons, which is 54539. Is that right? No.
Yes.
Yeah, 54539.
Or 556.
Or 556. Yeah. So it's basically the what is that? The Warsaw Pact calibers.
NATO.
Am I wrong on that?
Well,
it's NATO now.
I mean, there's a bunch of AK buffs here that'll say, well, actually the AK model 110 series, but no, they going with the light irons. It's just you get same thing, iron sight no optics, 30 round capacity on the mags, but with less recoil in the 545 or the 556.
Right. So it's like AK-74 or Gill 556. Actually, they make a bunch of AKs and 556 too. So,
yep.
First place there was John McClain, and then second place, dude on our squad was Stephen Lee, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And did you get I don't remember. Did you get a chance to shoot his rifle?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Did.
Airsoft.
Yeah, it was actually pretty ridiculous. I was really surprised at. I mean, AK-74s are pretty delightful to shoot as is. They're pretty light, but that was pretty insane. But third place, real quick, is Calvin Trong, and this guy's internet famous. I didn't realize it at the time, but he's got several funny YouTube videos out there. James, you probably saw him on the YouTube.
Gross motor skills. And he does how to relocate or how to reload a 1911, and he throws it on the ground, pulls out a Glock.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was him. Like, it's pretty cool. He's a funny guy. But so when I was looking up the stats for the match here, John McClain won the division by 18.5%.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap there.
A little bit, Jesus. All right, so then AK Open, which Open is pretty much open. You can have optic on there. You can any sort of optics. So like you put a red dot, or you can go with scope, 3 optics, doesn't matter. Drum mags. There's pretty much no rules in the Open division that I'm aware of. So first place on that one was Zach Smith. Second place, a little bit of a tighter one on this at 97.29% was Nils Jonassen. And then third, Jason Henson. Our own James Gill, fourth place. Jay Christiansen, fifth place. Congratulations, guys.
That was very educational, that match was.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? 10th place right here, by the way. I'm pretty excited about that. And then the final division is Com Block, which is pretty much like, hey, we still like you and we want you to show up to the match, but you don't have a gun that fits in any of these other categories. It's pretty much what that is. So what they wrote in there was PCC, SKS, VZ, etc., which I know what a couple of those are. So Nick Miller won that division. He was shooting one of the Dissident Arms PCCs, a little 9mm, and he put 25.5% on the second place. Joseph Robinson and Jason Carvoy took third place on that. So there was
PCC with a 1-6 on it. And I believe there's a video of him dialing magnification.
Which was even funnier, that the fact that he put a Razor 1-6 on his 9mm AK PCC, and everybody that shot Open ran red dots. Nobody in Open, I think, ran a magnified optic.
No, not that I can think of. In fact, last year at the Red October Kalashnikov Championship, I decided like, oh, I'm shooting Open, so I'm going to go full Open. I did the Razor 1-6 with the Razor red dot on the side, and then after shooting the match, I was like, well, that was really stupid. It just became like 4 pounds heavier, and then kind of a I don't know, a silly thing to mess with. So this time I went with the red dot, or I went with a holographic, and it was much more enjoyable that route. So if you're going to shoot an AK match and they run rules similar to this, I'd recommend that route.
Yeah, that was definitely the way to go.
Yeah. All right. Other shooting opportunities. So this match surprised me. I was not really prepared for the format, and there was a ton of other shooting opportunities. James, did you get a chance to go down the line and try any of those other opportunities?
I went down the line to look at a couple of the vendors, and at the point where you had all the general population people there for the festival, everybody wants to shoot full autos, short barreled full autos. I don't think there's anything out there that I haven't shot per se. So instead of standing in line for each booth, I watched other people shoot it, which was still enjoyable. I mean, you're around the gunfire, but I did get to go over to the Dissident booth because they've got a couple of the shorty Vepers that I'm trying to get a feel for. I did shoot those, but none of the other machine guns that I shoot. Probably should have. It would have made some good Instagram videos.
Yeah, I always regret that because like at the time I'm thinking like, I don't want to go stand in line, and that's pretty much what it comes down to me. Is like I'm tired from shooting already, and I don't want to go stand in line. But then later on, I'm like, man, I forgot about Full Auto Friday. I could have used that.
Yep.
Could have used the Instagram videos.
Jay got a couple of good videos. We'll be memeing him for a while.
Yeah, that didn't quite lean into that one like I should have.
Yeah. Well, they had another side match that I did not realize was happening over on the long range. They were allowing you to shoot from with a, I don't even know what the heck the gun is, and
RPK.
Thank you.
FVD or something. It's a long range gun.
Yeah, long range gun, and then it had like one of the Russian scopes on top, and then it was basically like a one shot game, right? You take one shot out of it, and closest person wins the gun or something.
I don't know what the rules were on that. I did see it. We drove by, looked at it. We thought it was the PRS guys over there shooting. Then we saw an AK. We didn't know if that was the sight-in range or what it was. We missed out on some of the festival stuff that was going on just because we were paying attention more to the shooting side of it. I didn't realize half this stuff at the venue was going on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be a little more prepared for it. But
yeah, so the other vendors that were there, I mean, they had we talked about Sentry, IWI was there, Dissident Arms was there, KCI,
KCI,
yeah, Dead Air
KNAS.
Silencers, KNAS, Red, not Red,
Rifle Dynamics.
Rifle Dynamics, thank you. KNS was there. They had a bunch of new pistons and stuff to show off. There's like a ton of companies out there, and the funny thing was when we'll talk about this when we get to prizes, but when it was all said and done, there was like 360 total people there, I think, something like that. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that's the number I remember, but we just said 117 shooters, so the bulk of people there were not even there to shoot the match. It was more of the festival atmosphere.
yeah, I think they were drawing numbers that were. I think they had sold tickets out to 400 or over 400 or something. It was some of the numbers they were calling.
Yeah.
Some of the people came and went, but quite a bit of people showed up just to shoot the carnival stages, go down to the vendor row. And I mean, Jeremy from IW&I, we were talking about it going through just the amount of people that come out to the event compared to some of the other matches we went to was kind of eye-opening. It was a new avenue for us.
Yeah, it was completely eye-opening for me too, and I had probably an hour conversation with Jeremy, and then you came in and were helping us out with some brainstorming on like what can we do to make this like more exciting at a 3-gun match and get people actually come out and play there. I don't know if we ever came up with anything. Maybe we need to have some sweet tea and vodka and talk about that again.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers like all our quick stats there. So what do you guys think the match flavor? What would you say the match flavor is?
More basic kind of AK flavor. It's really the
I would say like beginner flavor, like people that don't necessarily shoot matches, but maybe want to dip their toe into a match. I think that seems to be like the target market.
definitely.
Then for the people that are familiar with matches and do shoot matches on a regular basis, the stages just became like super fast.
Yeah, for sure.
So I came into it with a little bit of mixed feelings. One, it was a completely new match for us. I was actually borrowing a gun. I didn't even get my hands on the gun until the day before the match. I sighted in. So didn't have high expectations as far as performance in the match. And it was new. We didn't know what to expect, what degree of difficulty was going to be out there. So we went into it saying, we're just here to have fun. We're here to play. And we did. I had a great time. And going through it, seeing that it was base stages, some of the stages were deceptively hard. And I think all the guys that we had on our squad, whether they were shooting open like us or they were shooting heavy irons or light irons, I don't think anybody went through and just completely dominated each stage or didn't feel like they were kind of, I'm not going to say a rookie again, but it was, look at Aaron Hayes shooting a heavy AK with irons. And Lance Dingler, these guys that we shoot with on a regular basis, and you hear their shot speed, and the first stage they go shoot, it was almost laughable where everybody was slow on the trigger for 20-yard paper or 25-yard steel or whatever it was, just because it was that new platform. And then as people got comfortable, then things sped up for us. But
that is definitely the case. There was like a hockey stick progression of speed. It seemed like everyone's. Unfortunately, we started out on what should have been like the fastest stage out there.
Yeah,
and I totally kind of boned that stage pretty hard. So
yeah, that wasn't these offhand shots that we had. So the degree of difficulty for the match, I'm actually not complaining about too much. Lan and myself or Mike, we talked about the degree of difficulty set out for the match and what is an acceptable distance for an AK match. Taking into account new shooters, advanced shooters, doesn't matter, but just what is a 7.62 by 3.9 barrel that had nickels thrown down the barrel with Soviet ammo that's 80 years old. Guys are opening spam cans on the stage.
Yeah.
How far can we put targets out? So what we normally look at in even a pistol match is saying, oh, that shot's no problem. And then guys get down and they wing 4 or 5 shots at it. Like, oh, okay, maybe it's not as easy as it is with my $4,000 AR.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious your opinion on that, James, because you have, like you said, a lot of experience in different platforms in the military, and I basically in the last 2 years have like quadrupled the amount of rounds I've ever thrown down an AK shooting a Gill, which it's 5.56, so it's completely different animal. On like the 7.62 39 front, like what is the acceptable accuracy there, or the typical accuracy that you get?
Well, you got to remember that the AK platform, most of those weapons coming out of Eastern Europe and Russia and the Soviet Union, basically, they were conscript weapons. So you see graduated sights on an AK or an SVD out to 1,000. Everybody's like, you can shoot 1,000 with it. That's propaganda. That's to give a guy confidence in his equipment, and most of those were volume fired weapons from the hip, realistically, as guys were on the move. So it took a considerable amount of years before people started taking those weapons and actually testing accuracy. There in Quantico, when we were with the Foreign Weapons Group, we shot AKs in the 7.62 by 3.9. We shot them out to 600 yards on a point-sized target, so the Marine Corps rifle qual target. Now, at 600 yards, your round is tumbling in flight. That bullet is super unstable, and the barrels that we shoot full auto out of those barrels. I'd be surprised if there's any rifling in those barrels at all. But to be able to consistently hit I think it's 6x6, or I forget the size of the qual target, but to hit the actual target carriage and put rounds consecutively on there, it takes a skilled shooter to do that. The rifle's more capable of getting the stuff out there, but you really, after about 300, 330 yards with an AK, with a traditional barrel, that bullet you're throwing a wiffle ball downrange. You have no control of it at that point. Now with a modern AK, if you put a different barrel in it, do some other stuff, you can get better accuracy out of it. But traditional surplus AKs, about 300 yards is where they're at. So.
Well, okay, so that's interesting to know, because I've always wondered about that. After shooting a couple of the Dissident Arms AKs, like the AKs, not the Galils, at Red October last year, I started to wonder if like the reason, or not, maybe one of the contributing factors is that they have like really shitty triggers. Because the Dissident guys, they throw an ALG trigger, they do a nice trigger job on it, and they're actually pretty enjoyable to shoot. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, there's the mechanics of the gun. You have several things. I mean, it's occasionally you have a milled receiver, but for the most part, they're stamped. They're the McDonald's cheeseburger of firearms. They're coming out, and every other time the top bun is sideways in the packaging, and you can still eat it, but it's not going to be picture perfect. So with an AK, having a front sight post that your barrel might be twisted, your front sight post might be twisted compared to your rear sight notch, and being able to repeat putting rounds on, doesn't matter how inaccurate the rifle is as far as group size. If you got a 6-inch group size, but you can continue to hold that 6-inch group size, yes, absolutely. Having a very rough trigger, not getting proper cheek weld on the gun, and if you are in relation to one piece on the rifle, and then you shoot, and now your dust cover moves, and now you're looking at the rear sight in a different position, it's very hard to maintain a consistent sight picture. But not all rifles are that way. So they've made improvements to them. There's a bunch of these guys out here that are manufacturing their own AK platform weapons, but the production quality of them is much better. You mentioned the trigger itself. Yeah, having a better trigger is obviously going to allow you to not disturb the sights as much when you're putting rounds down range. So, we've come a long way from a Soviet bloc. You pull this gun out, pull the Cosmoline off, and shoot it. So,
yeah, no kidding. All right, let's move on to skills utilized, and James, we'll start with you there and go to Jay.
Skills used. One, it was very fast match on most of the bays, so you had to have very quick manipulation as far as being able to present with a red dot or iron sights and transition to targets. We didn't have to worry about reloads in the AK open division because we ran drums for everything. So reloads weren't necessary, but
go D60.
All the guys shooting traditional AK mags, 30 rounders, they all had to reload. So it was unique watching those guys try and flip the mag out. They drop the mag first, so they're using the mag to hit it. So mag changes were pretty crucial there. And then you had all the same target transitions, presentations, and then your jungle run type stuff. So very
right, yeah.
match.
When you say the bays are fast, I was looking up Zach Smith's times in Prex Score while we're talking here, and again, he is the open winner. So stage 1 through 5, which were all bays, was 14-4, 1898, 2193, 2031, 1683. So yeah, those are fast stages.
Yep, and I think one of those was a penalty in there, so it was actually a 16-second run. But yeah, I mean, just extremely fast stages. And I don't know how much he shoots AK. It appears he shoots AK on a regular, so he's a little more comfortable with it.
A lot.
Maybe once or twice before.
Yeah, Zach's a super strong shooter, and this definitely seemed to fit his skill set. So, Jay, anything you want to add to skills utilized there?
I mean, the base stages were, I'm pretty sure Pete had a little something to do. Pete Rensing with UML had a little something to do with those.
Yeah,
They
he was
had
out
kind
there.
of-
We should mention that.
Yeah, so they kind of had a little peat flavor to him. I would also say some of that offhand rifle, maybe a little bit, especially with the AK. A couple of those steel targets that we had to shoot offhand, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a
That
couple.
were not
steel targets
exactly
in
large ones.
Yeah, in the corners, the back of the
Mhm.
bays. So I don't
Yeah.
know how deep those bays were, 50, 55, 60 yards or something like
So
that.
they were. I believe most of those targets were about 48 yards from the shooting position.
There you go.
And they were using smaller plates, trying to increase the degree of difficulty a little bit on us. So I was told.
I think it worked.
Yeah, a little bit. So a lot of the beginner shooters, they said not many of them left the plates, but they sure did burn through some mags trying to get them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Terrain. So five base stages that are flat, muddy, nice and super slick, muddy when it got a little bit of precipitation, just a little bit of rain. It made them super slick. So if you've ever shot a Cawthorn Cartridge Club, it's like same old, same old. And then we had 3 natural terrain-ish stages. So one jungle run in like the typical Cawthorn jungle run place, which I've never done with rifles, so that was kind of fun. One run out on the dam, and then one shooting out over the marsh into the farmer's land, which is always interesting. What's that?
That area is called the Ridge at that range.
There you go, the Ridge. Thank you. So that pretty much covers terrain, unless you guys have anything to add to that one.
What's so funny there,
James?
Actually,
shut up. Go bowling, nerd.
All right. So farthest shot, number of long range shots. So I think the farthest shot we took was on the Ridge, or was it on the dam there?
That was
Either way, it was supported. They gave us a couple of sawhorses.
Yeah, the Ridge off the sawhorse, I believe we were at 91 yards.
Oh, okay.
And then everything else was 52 and under.
Got it. Those are pretty generous targets. Like they were, 17-inch laptop size. At least.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. I'm just saying that because right under the camera, I have a 17-inch laptop.
But the wind on that stage, it was brutal.
Yeah, you almost had to hold just to the right of the center of the.
like about an inch left of center, I think I held.
Okay, so the let's talk logistics: check-in, scoring, prize table distribution. James, you want to start there?
Scoring, we've done UMML or USSL. Whatever the rifle scoring is, I'm always going to get that acronym wrong.
URL.
Points, 100-point stages, so time, which I don't really care how the scoring goes. Actually, it all shakes out the same either way. But they did prize table top 3 in every division except open, which was the heavy division. I think they did out to top 5 in that division. Actually had for 117 people, had a pretty massive prize table.
Yeah, it was insane. And then we should also mention that the show goers, the people that were just there for the festival, were also included in the prize table as well after the top 3 or top 5, because it went to random draw after that.
Correct.
Well, it went to games and then to random draw. That was kind of weird. They had, not weird, but unique, unusual, something I haven't seen in a 3-gun match before. They actually had games to decide who won prizes after the top shooters took their prizes, or I guess before. I don't know.
Oh, game show style. That's right.
Yeah, it was like the Price is Right kind of thing.
That's right.
So being a competitor that goes to a bunch of matches, if you go to a normal match and they have a prize table, they tell you everybody's going to get something, or you kind of know ahead of time what you're getting into. I really didn't even think about a prize table for this one, which they kind of adjusted on the fly. I don't know who was running the prize table, but it was nice where it wasn't just like you had a row of people lined up ready to go. grab their stuff and run. You know, they actually had the crowd participating in there and being random draw for everybody. You know, typically you'll have one or two guys that take their prize and roll out. Not going to say everywhere, but, you know, if you have a flight or something. But I think everybody was there basically until they kicked us off the venue.
Yeah, I saw the landowner driving around several times after 5 p.m. like, hey, what are you guys still doing here? But yeah, I randomly won nothing, so that was interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing out was, you know, they didn't really have a cutoff as far as number of prizes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I got something, so I'm not too upset.
Well, the interesting thing was they had like a giant pile after I guess the main prizes or whatever, and they said, hey, anyone else who hasn't got a prize, come on up here. And I was denied from that too. So must just be my
fault. Right. He looked. Oh, it was whoever helped with something. Come over here. And
it was the no. It was after that.
He had a box of mags.
Yeah.
At drums or whatever. He looked right at you and went over here.
I'm glad. I turned around like looking for you guys, and I was like, "Did someone else see that?" You must have been laughing in the corner. But
I was
dying. So and then check-in. There was a check-in. I didn't realize there was an actual normal check-in because I'm used to going to matches. But in the tent, they had a check-in where you got like your name and your number, and they confirmed that you were there and things like that. And then you could buy match T-shirts and shit like that if you wanted to. So venue, Cawthorn Cartridge Club. This is kind of like a, I guess, bigger match venue in the Houston area. Or at least I've gone to a ton of matches there.
Yeah, it's kind of a typical range that we're used to. It's a familiar place to us. We've had 3 Nation regionals and Bushnell UML traditional nationals out there.
Trad Natties.
Traddy Natties. Yeah, they had. Oh, the start match was out there. What was that, last year? So yeah, there's plenty of matches out there. They do a ton of PRS out there. Still do a lot of local matches. No more local 3 guns since the dissident guys got too busy. But it's definitely a very nice place, very large property, tons of area to use for anything you need.
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned that the distant guys aren't holding matches out there anymore. So one of their things was they're going to step away from doing monthly matches so they can do some more like quarterly big matches. So Trad Natties was one. This is another. What do you think, as someone who was local to that range, local-ish to that range? Think it's a good trade-off?
I mean, it depends. I think from what I could tell, it seemed like attendance was tapering off. Not because of anything they were doing. Their matches are always awesome, like, you know, major match level stages on a monthly match.
Yeah.
But
they kicked ass.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they're doing multiple, you know, major events throughout the year, I mean, I'm cool with that. I'd rather have more of those than club matches anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a shame because, you know, $30 and you get a cool match, but I can totally understand time investment wise. Anything else we want to mention there?
Yeah.
About the venue?
It's not far from major areas. The Bryan College Station is 30 minutes north, Brenham 30 minutes south, 40 minutes south. I think Houston's only in Burr, so easy to get to. You know, there's plenty of places to stay around there. Have we got into that yet?
Oh yeah, that's where we're at, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so tons of places to stay, tons of places to eat. Maybe hopefully next year they can put it not on A&M's Parents Weekend. That'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know if they had if they thought about that one, but yeah, we luckily stayed in Brenham with a friend of ours, very gracious host, and so we went to dinner there. But it sounded like a Charlie Foxtrot of trying to find hotels and places to eat in College Station.
Well, yeah, every time I've ever gone out there, it's either been antique weekend or some family day or something. And I'm like, man, why am I going 40 miles an hour on the interstate? This is nonsense.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened on my way back to the place that we were staying from, or on Sunday, but I got stuck in like the county fair or some shit, and I was going like 17 miles an hour. Ended up like you guys were almost home by the time I even left. It was crazy.
People walking across the highway in front of you just don't care. They're out there
walking across the highway, walking their horses
Yeah,
and their goats across the highway. Like, not kidding. Like, it was like that.
Yeah, I believe that weekend. So once a month in Round Top, which is basically if you're heading west or southwest of that area, you have to go through there. Well, once a month in Round Top, they have like the world's largest antique weekend. And so there's no kidding, like 10 or 15 miles stretch of that highway that's wall to wall. Every side of that road is nothing but antique dealers. And
I wonder if that's what I ran into.
I believe you did.
Wow. Well, that explains why
people walking across the street like nobody's driving. Like,
yeah,
yep, and you have to go through that whole stretch for about 10
sheriff
miles an hour.
and the constables were directing traffic and stuff, which is weird when you've got a ton of guns in the car. You're like, I'm gonna be the one guy they look at, but they don't care. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
All right. So pre-communication. How was the pre-communication for the match? I think I got like 2 emails the week before, and so I kind of was prepared and knew what to expect, round count and stuff like that.
I saw several emails throughout the process from everywhere, between initially registering and paying and then up to the match. Several emails with different updates, and then the final ones that week before with the final kind of logistics of everything.
Good.
Not to mention tons of social media posts and things.
James?
Yeah, I really don't pay attention to that stuff. I forgot to pay until like 2 days before.
Yeah.
They sent me an email link, and I just.
Sorry, your secretary was nobody.
Your pay will reflect.
Yeah, I have to say that I appreciate the proficiency with which Lan and Mike use Practice Score and are not afraid to use the email system in there. I think a lot of matches want to do social media updates, and for whatever reason, like the algorithm always hoses at least half the match on that. So I appreciate the email because it goes to a place where if I don't check it, then that's my fault. One thing I would say though would be like if anyone from Practice Score is listening, one nice update would be like log those emails on the match website in Practice Score. So if you sign up late, like James did, now like those 4 emails could already be in there, and you can go read like the other 4 updates that you already missed. That might be kind of nice, but just a random thought. All right, staff. How was the staff?
Excellent.
Well, everyone we dealt with, the ROs. The ROs are out there volunteering their time. I think Jay's brother was out there RO in another match that he was not shooting.
Yeah.
So it's very nice to have staff that is willing to be there. We'll have another discussion about ROs at some point and running matches because I've done both. But the guys that are out there, they're working their ass off for us. And, we appreciate them. We're trying not to give them too much grief about anything. But we know there's just stuff that's out of their hands. Obviously, we had some weather issues, and I think a tablet got not lost. I don't remember. There's always something that comes up, but we didn't deal with anybody that yelled at us or told us we were dumb. Like I felt like a rock star there.
I think it's funny. Like anytime I'm not yelled at, I think like, well, that was a nice experience. It's funny how low the
nobody punched me in the face at this 3-gun match. This was excellent.
I know, like it's funny how low some of the matches I've shot in the past have set the bar, but I think that Kalash Bash was good, and the people serving food were totally cool. The people that checked in were totally cool. The people that I dealt with on the line for shooting guns were awesome. All the ROs were great. Some of them seemed a little frazzled by the squad that was in front of us, but they quickly calmed down a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. It seemed like we had smiling faces and expedient ROs and no real. I don't think we had really any issues or anything. So, I really enjoyed that. Other than the dude at Kyber Customs that totally stuffed me at the festival, it was totally cool. Not bad.
Yeah, and so I mean, again, there was two parts to it that were, the match itself, as far as running the match, shooting the match, and then having a prize table while a festival is going on. So again, there was a bunch of people there that, I wasn't anticipating, because again, I didn't pay attention to any of the alerts for this. That it was just, hey, you want to go shoot an AK match? Yeah, I'm in. Let's go shoot it. So I didn't really do a whole lot of research on the match as far as what the event was going to consist of, and then going and seeing those guys handling that at the same side or the same time, it was unique, but didn't really present any issues for me.
Yeah,
there's a few things I'd like to see done, but
they had a lot of balls in the air as far as that goes, managing the needs of the vendors that were at the festival, the needs of the festival goers, all the other vendors that were there, and managing the shooters. Like, they did a bang up job in that respect, because that's 3 jobs all in one right there. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, and so to have 117 competitors, I'm going to assume, let's say it's only a third of the competitors are new shooters or newer shooters, because they did ask whose match it was their first, or whose competitor was the first time match, and it was quite a bit. So, on top of having a bunch of newer shooters to shooting sports, but then having another 200 and some people walking around with guns, and everybody.
Oh, yeah. That was the weird part. Everybody had guns. At 3-gun matches, like, your guns are in the truck or you're shooting.
Yep. Like, not this one.
No.
So everybody had guns, slung guns, and there was 1 or 2 times where I kind of had to do a double take with looking at stuff, but it was very well controlled. All the people.
It was almost like a show and tell kind of thing. Like, hey, this is my unique Russian gun. Let me see yours.
The swap meet mentality. Like,
yeah.
we're going to a car show. I'll show you mine. You show me yours. Like, people want to show off their stuff, and granted, I had a gun that was a loaner gun, and I didn't walk around showing it off because, 1, it's not even my gun, but 2, like, I just, I don't know. It wasn't something I was thinking about. I was just thinking about shooting the match and making sure, hey, where scores posted and where do I go to find some food, kind of.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, let's just get into the fun factor here. Like, I had a good time, but I did not realize, like, the festival was going to be what the festival was. I didn't realize that they had, like, all these vendors and stuff there. I don't know if I missed all the pre-communication or what, but I missed all that. I thought it was a match that we were going to that also had a festival, but we went to a festival that had a match, so that was that kind of thing. And so I guess in retrospect, I should have brought a sling and slugged around my 11.5-pound Galil the entire time. But
you only do that if it was gold plated.
Yeah. There, we saw a gold-plated AK and a gold-plated 1911, which I don't know how those two coexist in the same realm, but it was pretty interesting.
Cartel.
Yeah, but wouldn't they shoot something comm blocky? I don't know. I was disappointed.
I was assuming it would have been a Deagle.
Yeah, it should have been a Deagle. Oh, yeah. If anyone has that guy's phone number, I want to call him.
I did get it a couple times where, since we were shooting Galils and guys found out we were shooting Galils, they kind of looked at us like, you're shooting a Galil at an AK match. I was doing something wrong. It felt like I showed up to a 3-gun match with a 870 with a 3-round tube on it. Like, oh, you're shooting your bird gun for a 3-gun match, dummy? Don't you know you got to have a tube? Like, that's where I felt. I was like, oh man, I don't have the right gear.
I think it's the opposite of what you think it is, James. I think it was you don't have an AK, you're not cool AK style. But once they realized like the capabilities of it and that we can fit drums and we have the left-hand charging handle, I think they might have been a little upset that we were using like race guns or something.
Well, so
Yes, they were.
So
Jay's
obviously
getting that nod.
there was a bunch of guys there that, matter of fact, Lance Dingler had some AK. I don't even know what model AK he had or what the manufacturer was, but I heard multiple people note his AK, say it by name, and then we went other places and guys came up to him and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy with this gun."
Oh, you're kidding?
No, dead serious. And the ROs talked to him about it a couple times, and then other competitors came up. Spectators came up to us and wanted to see his gun. So apparently he had a really nice AK. And being a collector, there's a bunch of guys that showed up wearing AK chest rigs with a true fashion AK. And, I asked a couple of guys, they didn't care about new upgrades. They kind of look at plastic furniture like it's, okay, we don't want that. We want to go with the classic wood. We want to go with all legit stuff. So they're going with the period piece. And that was what they did. So the fact that we went with a new modernized weapon, that was the thing. Okay, we're here to compete, and they saw us competing. Okay, we're not the collectors that they are.
Yeah.
So that was the split mentality, which
I just figured it out. I'm gonna use your car show mentality. It's like showing up to like the antique car show with a Ford GT 500 that you just bought from the dealer and drove down there, and then you kick everyone's ass in the vintage car race. Yeah, you're like, I won. And I did it with air conditioning. That's exactly right. Injection.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so I'm glad you explained that, James, because that piece of it was totally lost on me. Like I saw the gun show part of it, like the swap meet kind of thing, but I didn't catch the enthusiast vibe for not because it's bad or anything, but just like I never really went that way with AKs and stuff, and I can't really say like what makes this one more unique than this one. I got a couple of years ago, or I guess it was early last year when I was announced that I was going to be shooting an IWI at Red October. I got some backlash from people saying it's not a real AK, and so I went and I picked it up and I looked at it. I'm like, well, it's got an op rod. Okay, it's got that big ass bolt. Like, it's got a dust cover. Like, well, it looks like an AK. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. So, I guess the upgrades they've made along the way are like the plastic furniture you're talking about, James, and that it's a departure from what Kalashnikov originally designed. So it's not any good.
Well, and that's since we've been shooting matches as just a true competitor, where I want to find the latest and greatest gear. I want to go with a platform that I know works and equipment that works, and maximizing my Formula One setup. Going from that mentality to if you go to some matches, I actually have a buddy who has an M16A2 clone, so it's got a fixed carrying handle. It's not a detachable carrying handle. It's the old plastic furniture, and it's as true to form as a regular M16A2 as you can get. And he doesn't want to make any upgrades or modifications to it. He's shooting it with iron sights specifically, and really enjoys that piece for the nostalgia or whatever it is. And I talked to him about shooting in a match, and he's like, absolutely, I would shoot it in a match because that's what I would do. And there's, I'm sure you've gone to a match where somebody's shooting like an M1 Garand or, just something, and they're fun. Now imagine going to a match where it's an action rifle match or a 3-gun match where everyone is shooting an M1 Garand, and you can't bedazzle it. You can't, just go to shooting form. And so it's almost like having a restrictor plate on a NASCAR race where, okay, everybody gets to go shoot 3-gun, but we're all going to shoot bone stock. I'm not going to say Glocks because they're terrible, but like we're all shooting revolvers, Yeah. But not cowboy action. We're all shooting a revolver. We're all shooting this rifle, and everybody has one. Everybody plays, and the match isn't built around that saying, okay, we're going to have reloads and do stuff like just a 3-gun match where everybody plays we're live action role playing. That's the mentality.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It did seem like live action role play type stuff. It reminded me. I don't know. I got it. The car analogy is such a good one because I can imagine having, like a period correct 65 Mustang. Because I had a 65 Mustang in high school that wasn't exactly correct. Like it had some upgrades to it. But I can imagine having one that's correct and cruising around on Sundays. But then also just driving your pickup truck to work because it has air conditioning and a sweet FM radio.
Right.
So that's kind of an analogy to make for the match, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And those guys, I give them credit. All the guys that showed up out there. I was really surprised to see the number of tents out there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Matt's staff, and then it was these guys come from all across the country to come out to this function, and they spent all weekend basically partying on site and camping, and they were out in the rain and the windstorm blowing their tents away. And I don't think I saw any of those guys complaining about the conditions or the match setup or really anything.
Nope.
No, and it was like a true festival atmosphere where people were, like you said, camping in tents, partying until 2 a.m, and then eating hot dogs off of a cart. So
it was just like Renaissance Festival, but with guns instead of swords.
Yeah, just like that. So okay, Jay, you shoot it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
James, how about you, man?
I'm shooting it again. I'm getting a new rifle built right now and bedazzled out. It's a Gill, my Formula One, and because I want to shoot, I want to compete on that level. I would probably shoot it again. I actually think it would be more fun for me because I'm terrible anyway. If I went as far right as I could with taking the bare minimum AK and going to shoot it and dressing up like, I don't know. That match was fun. I had a lot of fun. Yes, I'm definitely gonna shoot again.
Well, I tell you what, like I really like shooting the Gill, and obviously Vortex is a supporter of me in the show, and so I like to shoot nice optics, which is fantastic. But I would say maybe next year can we shoot 2 divisions, because that might be kind of fun. Is bring the 7.62 iron sight AK and shoot the Gill. That could be cool, and because it's a 1-gun match, like shit moves pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely time in the schedule to do it. Now, again, the match this year was a new match to Dissident. I guess they said they had done some previous AK bashes, like Christmas bash or something. So they're trying to keep this match going on a regular basis. Now, are they going to adjust the style of the match? Are they going to increase the degree of difficulty to maximize if a guy's running an AK with a Gill, for example, with a 1-6, are we going to put targets out there where he might actually need magnification? Obviously, you can't stretch the match out too far, but if they increase the difficulty, am I going to want to challenge myself with the equipment I have, or am I going to want to go just repeat the match as it is and just shoot multiple divisions? Because I would like to have shot that with an iron-sighted, heavy AK. I think that would have been a lot of fun, but I also want to win.
I don't think they're going to change the style of the match from what I'm hearing. If anything, they may add a stage or two, but I think the stages are going to pretty much stay like that because it was challenging enough for the experienced shooters, but it was still fast and fun. And then the beginners were still, I think most of the beginners were still able to finish all the stages for the most part. But they were also challenged. There was guys that were blocking at some of those targets. And for that type of match, that atmosphere, and what they're trying to do, I don't think they need to increase the difficulty. I think they should keep it that same kind of flavor, same kind of speed, maybe just add another stage or two. Maybe maybe some more side stage type stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely go for another couple stages, and not saying that I didn't get enough. It's just like it was fun enough that I would want to shoot more. So, any funny things that happened at the match?
Well, there's two things I can think of. First one, that nice little windstorm. Everybody might not have thought it was so funny trying to hold the tents down from ripping everything to shreds.
They probably lost $2,000 worth of pop-up tents. Destroyed that match.
Yeah, at least. I saw the next day there was like a pop-up tent framed graveyard on one of the sides of the berms.
Yeah, they started using them as targets on the machine gun range after a while. They were just cheese gratering them with the machine guns over there.
Yeah, it was like a little microburst before a tornado, but then the tornado never happened.
Yeah. One of the funny things that happened on our squad, James might not think it was so funny, and he might still be hurting a little from it. But what was that, stage 6, the dam stage?
Yeah.
So we started on that sawhorse, little steel targets, little paper, run down the hill and back up the hill, and I don't know, a couple steps left to go into that final position. And I look up while I'm trying to video, running behind James. I look up and all I see is head on the ground and heels in the air. Took a nice little swan dive, face plant, scorpion a little bit. Managed to keep control of that rifle though. Good trigger finger control there, and got back up and burned it down anyway. But
still pulled a fourth.
Yeah, and the only real issue there was, you see in the video I'm chasing him, then I start going back up the hill.
And you record the sky.
I start going back up the hill, and I look up and see him on the ground, and then look back down, and the camera's pointed at the sky. I get the camera back on him just in time for him to be up already and shooting again.
So it just looks like I'm slow to get in position. That's all it looks like.
That's the worst is when there's a good spill that happens and the camera guy doesn't get it because he's looking over the camera. Follow your sights, kids. Follow your sights.
I don't think I've been to a match ever that I haven't tripped or fallen on my face or run into a wall or a prop. I mean, I'm retarded. I do it. So it's going to happen. And of all the stages, there was the base stage. I want to say it was stage 3 or 4 that were the 5 boxes or 6 boxes he had to shoot from.
And I like that one.
It started raining for us. So you're getting no push, no traction, and everybody's sliding across the box as they get into position. I don't think anybody on our squad anyway had an easy go of that stage. So we threw 3 or 4 seconds away just getting in a position looking like we're skating on ice.
Because it had just started raining when we got there.
Yep. And I'd have been okay slipping there because it's to be expected. But on the stage that I fell on, I was actually running. I don't think I'd go any faster.
Yeah, you were hauling, man.
So I'm like, am I just too retarded to like not fall on my face while running? There's no stick. I didn't hit a pothole. I don't know what happened. I just like burned my little engine out and said, I'm gonna stop here with my face.
I think you were trying to prone out for those 5-yard rifle paper, but then you
that's right.
noticed you to pop back up and get back on target.
Realized with the offset couldn't see him very well. Yeah,
that's what it was.
All right, dudes. Well, we're coming up on our time here. James, you've got to get bowling, my friend. Anything you want to add before we go?
No. I mean, thank you to Mike and Land for hosting the event. USSL for coming out and helping the event. I know Jeremy Reed was out there, and
Pete Rensing.
Pete Rensing was out there. Had a good conversation with Pete. I actually really enjoy the USSL matches. I'm liking that format more and more. But the event was great. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Do it again.
Yeah. Jay, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just like I said, it was a good match. Thank you to all the sponsors that helped put that on. There was a ton of them. A ton of people threw in tons of stuff, prize table and everything else. Thank you, Jeremy, for with IWI for helping out like he did. And then everybody that came to the mission. It was a neat experience, and so looking forward to it again next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm with both y'all. I like that type of format. I think it's pretty cool. I really glad that Len and Mike did take a step back from the monthly stuff, if this is going to be the result of it, because it was a good time. And then the vendor participation was absolutely incredible. The dudes from Rifle Dynamics drove up. Mike Pappas from Dead Air Silencers was there, so it was cool to see those guys. I really enjoyed the match, and like James said, I like the USSL and URL, United Rifle League rule set. Although I'm very confused by the acronyms, I'm going to need like a decoder sheet over here.
I'll never get them right.
But yeah, so I would shoot it again. So guys, let's end it there. Let's wrap it up. That was the match recon for Kalash Bash Texas 2019. And if you look it up in practice score, it is Kalash Bash Texas, which sort of implies that they're going to do it somewhere else. So if this is the type of thing that you're interested in, you got an AK in the closet you haven't used, or you know a buddy that has one, because as we proved, several people can shoot one gun in a one gun match. Just takes a little time to cool. So thanks, guys, for being a part of the show, and thank everyone for listening. I'm Dave Hartman with the 3 Gun Show. We'll see you on the range.